What you actually saw was a very good-looking girl driving a car. Could have been to the supermarket. And Hitch said to me, well, put voices occasionally. They're missing the money now. I said, that's all right, but that still doesn't make it terrible. And that's when we both agreed the idea we'll bring back some music, which gives the audience something terrible is going to happen to this girl. It's got to.
J'ai toujours été frappé dans Psychose de ce moment formidable où la nuit commence, avant d'arriver au motel, où il se met à pleuvoir, où les essuie-glaces tournent. Et ça, plus avec l'extraordinaire bout de musique, bon, une angoisse qui n'a absolument aucune raison d'être, née de l'ensemble des éléments, quoi. Ça, c'est de la métaphysique, ça, pure. L'impression d'un seul coup qu'on se dirige littéralement vers quelque chose. Et quand on arrive au motel, il est bien évident que c'est l'endroit où les choses vont se passer. Et là, tout est possible.
The shower scene has been a sequence of much discussion. Hitchcock did not want music for it. And I said, well, leave it to me and go away on a holiday. And he came back and we showed him the film with music. And he said, of course we'll use that. But I said, Hitch, you said absolutely no music. He said, well, improper suggestion.
C'est comme des violons aigus, c'est comme des cris d'oiseaux. Et comme Norman est empaillant d'oiseaux, je veux dire, c'est presque le coupable qui est désigné. Mais et c'est pour ça que c'est très fort. En fait, on ne sait pas pourquoi, mais on sent que ça convient parfaitement, parce que c'est au fond de nous-mêmes, nous savons sans doute que c'est Norman Bates qui tue quels que soient les trucs. Donc c'est une confirmation. Et en plus, c'est fait comme des allaitements de personnes qui sont en train de soulager d'une obsession. Non, c'est génial, ça.
The Herrmann-Hitchcock partnership spanned 11 years and 8 movies, but came to a bitter end in 1966 with Torn Curtain. Herrmann's score was only partially recorded. Eventually, the film was released with a score by John Addison.
That was when Hitchcock had begun his decline, and he'd been such an arrogant, dreadful person to so many people, and so ruthless and cruel, that when he started on his way down, at the slightest slip, you know, they know what's happening here in town, people began to give him a hard time. And one of the things some of the guys at Universal did apparently was to say, now, you don't need that old-fashioned score. What you need is something which is with it now. Well, Benny did the score for this crazy ensemble, but I'm sure it was brilliant because I heard the tapes. And also I heard from the musicians in the orchestra who were playing that when he finished with this main title, they actually cheered, you know, and they're pretty blasé, but they loved what Benny did because it was so striking. And the thing was that Hitchcock later appeared on the stage.
Hitchcock walked in, and he said, what is this? What kind of music is this? This is not what I want.
But Benny, who cared a lot for Hitchcock, said, listen, Hitch, we've got the players, we've got to pay them anyhow. Why don't you let me finish the recording, and then you can decide. Hitchcock said no, because he wanted to humiliate Benny. And so they called off the session. which is a big deal, you know.
And so we just all went home, and then we were sitting there having a cocktail and talking it over in his bedroom, because that's where his music room was. He said, "Go to the other line. I want you to hear this because Alfred Hitchcock is on the line." And he did get a chewing out. They had a yelling conversation between them, yes, both of them. And they both had it on, and they still never resolved it.
And it was, I think, the great tragedy in Benny's life, the great professional tragedy, of course, the break with Hitchcock. And what he felt was that Hitchcock had capitulated to the pressures being put upon him to get pop into his scores, and he didn't think an artist of Hitchcock's caliber needed to, and certainly should have capitulated in that way. We'll probably never know the full story. I think there are probably all sorts of complex, momentous issues. I think, for instance, that from my own experience of working in films and having come across directors and their various ego problems, I think there might have even been a sense in which Hitchcock was beginning to resent the enormity of the contribution that Benny was making to his films.
The highlight of Torn Curtain is a brutal killing sequence. In the released version of the film, it runs for 10 minutes without a note of music.
Tell the cookie she should put that down. She's gonna cut your fingers off.